Might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
The Film Lounge presents...
Spoiler-free movie review!
First you gotta do the truffle shuffle. Come on!
with Chris Gooch.
I'm the dude.
The Empire's building a weapon capable of destroying an entire planet. They call it the Death Star. We need to capture the plans if there's any hope of destroying it.
We want to help.
Okay, look, I know these are supposed to be spoiler-free reviews, but if you are one of the few handful of people that have seen that small little independent film called Star Wars A New Hope, then you probably already know how this film ends. Yes, Rogue One is the first in what will become a never-ending cycle of Star Wars spin-off films produced by Disney. The film actually serves as an in-betweenquel for prequels and the original trilogy, and answers that age-old question of who exactly put in that frigging thermal exhaust port that leads directly to the reactor system.
A major weapons test is imminent. We need to know how to destroy it.
Set just before the events of A New Hope, we follow a group of not just unlikely heroes, but a group of morally and ethically dubious characters who include Oscar winner Felicity Jones as Jyn Erso, Diego Luna's Cassian Andor, who's kind of a really brutal Mexican version of Han Solo, along with the bromance couple that is Donnie Yen and Wen Jiang. Not to mention scene stealer Alan Tudyk as reprogrammed Imperial droid K2SO.
The captain says you are a friend. I will not kill you.
Thanks.
Their mission? To steal the plans of the Death Star and get them back to the Rebel base. So, as I said, if you've seen the original trilogy, then you know what happens in this film. But that is not to be seen as a bad thing here.
Rogue One.
Rogue One? There is no Rogue One.
Well, there is now.
Now, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. It's kind of weird watching a Star Wars film that doesn't feature the opening crawl, but also, it's kind of awesome too. One of the biggest concerns going into this film was that it was just going to be another nostalgia-ridden project that was more focused on reminding you that it's a Star Wars film than creating an original story. 5 minutes in, there's nothing to worry about. This film is dark, gritty, and still has some well-placed humour. We have the heroes that aren't afraid to kill and aren't afraid to sacrifice others to aid their own escape. Fingers crossed though that they don't release a special edition 20 years down the track where Andor doesn't shoot first. The film is also just peppered with some great fresh moments, including a great Donnie Yen fight sequence that echoes the choreography and humour of the Hong Kong action films that he cut his teeth with. Whilst Alan Tudyk's K2SO is the most likeable droid Star Wars has ever produced, with a dry sense of humour that just has me wishing for a spin-off movie where his character just does stand-up comedy and asks, what's the deal with Imperial TIE Fighter peanuts?
Where'd you get it?
I found it.
I find that answer vague and unconvincing.
Director Gareth Edwards, along with the rest of the crew, have done a fantastic job of designing the worlds, the costumes, the creatures, the ships, and the technology throughout. It feels like the whole film has just fallen out of a long-lost Ralph McQuarrie sketchbook. There's a great balance of giving us something new, but still making it feel like it belongs in the films of the 1970s. Much like J.J. Abrams' The Force Awakens, this movie knows when to use the practical effects and when to use CGI. With just one exception. As many of you will know, this film reintroduces us to Peter Cushing's Grand Moff Tarkin. However, instead of recasting like they did with almost every other character featured in this film from the original trilogy, we get a full-blown CGI rendering of Peter Cushing that just can't seem to shake past that uncanny valley look and feel that plagues so many CGI human characters. It's my only real complaint of the film because it really does take you out of the movie, especially when CGI Creepy Boy is CGI acting next to Ozzy Ben Mendelsohn, who gives a solid performance as the film's big bad.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close to providing peace and security for the galaxy. You're confusing peace with terror. Well, you have to start somewhere.
The film is one part heist movie, one part war movie, and when I say war movie, I mean that this may be the first time in a series called Star Wars that we actually get to see real war. Not cute little plush toys fighting stormtroopers in a forest, not CGI armies falling by the dozen. I mean actual gritty, knuckle-down, drag-out battles on a beach, whilst ATAs, TIE Fighters and X-Wings serve as a backdrop to the more grounded battle. The third act of this film is really something that needs to be seen on the big screen. Overall, your enjoyment of this film will most likely be dependent on how much you have built this film up in your own head, and how much of the film maybe meets or doesn't meet those expectations. Some people may be disappointed that certain characters weren't in the film as long as they'd hoped for, while some other people may have hoped for interactions between different characters that never occurred, whilst others may be just disappointed by the lack of certain Star Wars-y things. For me though, knowing that we are going to be getting a new Star Wars film at least once a year from now until the end of time itself, my main worry was always that the novelty of Star Wars would wear off because of the sudden high frequency of films. Looking at how fresh Rogue One feels, it gives me a new hope that these Star Wars films have some real legs. Rogue One, a Star Wars story, gets 4 out of 5 stars. Or 4 out of 5 creepy CGI Tarkins fighting overrated plush toys in a forest.
We'll take the next chance. And the next. You're rebels, aren't you?